Ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure to be a speaker at API Days and have the opportunity to share my experiences and passion for API security. My name is Mahamadou Zakari, and I'm thrilled to serve as an API architect with 7 years of experience in the industry. Throughout my professional journey, I did have the opportunity to deliver successfully projects for esteemed and international organizations in banking and insurance mainly, such as Société Générale, BNP Paribas, and Allianz Trade. I have been involved in API integration projects where I have worked with cross-functional teams designing and implementing service-oriented architecture to ensure security, scalability, and optimize performance of system. I have also been involved in API governance activities with a transversal role which consists in designing API guidelines as well as conducting API design and security reviews to ensure compliance and quality. Today, I'm pleased to talk about how to align security and development for stronger API security. Let's get started. I will first emphasize challenges between security and development team. Then I will show how API governance will enable collaboration for better API security, and finally provide insight regarding security by design and DevSecOps. Historically, developer and security teams have worked in silos, leading to insufficient security measures and increased risks. Developers concentrate on creating exceptional user experience and functionalities, whereas the security team is focused on identifying vulnerabilities, preventing or mitigating risks. This conflict work-driven approach leads to the following issues: lack of communication and collaboration between these teams, which also leads to misunderstandings, complex systems and dependencies. It's about the development team working with various technological stacks and often relying on third-party libraries. These integrations are not always secure, not easy to monitor, and may introduce additional security risks. Misaligned priorities and goals. For example, the development team may be under pressure to release new features quickly, whereas the security team may prioritize resolving issues discovered later in the API lifecycle. Such a divergence can conduct in conflicts and delays in securing APIs. Last but not least are the scarcity of resources and financial limitations, which are one of the biggest constraints faced by organizations while securing their APIs. These challenges can be burdensome and time-consuming for organizations. That's why we believe security should be a collaborative effort introduced early and within each stage of the software development lifecycle. Let's see together how API governance will enable organizations to achieve such a purpose. API governance aims to establish a framework for secure, consistent, easy to use, and maintain APIs throughout their lifecycle. Organizations can build an effective API governance based on 4 core foundations. First is about identifying and engaging the key stakeholders involved in the API lifecycle. For each, it's important to define what their responsibilities are, how and why they need to fulfill them. The goal here is to ensure everyone's requirements and interests are considered, so decisions can be made collaboratively. Second is a clear definition of stages an API goes through, decide on how they should be managed with proper controls and align with business objectives. Third foundation is about guidelines. There are crucial aspects which provide best practices, rules, and tools for API lifecycle management. They aim to enable interoperability and reliability across all APIs within an organization. And the last foundation is refinement, which consists in continuously enhancing the API governance framework and processes. It involves reviews to ensure guidelines are correctly enforced, gathering feedback from stakeholders in order to improve processes, periodic audits to ensure APIs are still compliant with organization strategy but also regulatory. Finally, training to adapt with changing business needs and technological progress, which brings numerous changes and challenges in terms of security. By implementing an API governance framework tailored to their specific needs, organizations can foster an environment allowing security and development alignment. This will reduce the risk of security breaches and enable APIs to be secure and reliable. Among diverse methods and philosophies that organizations can use within their governance framework, I would like today to focus on security by design and DevSecOps. Security by design is about designing and implementing security measures early in the API lifecycle, ensuring API is secure from the ground up. Organizations can leverage this philosophy by adopting API first, security first, and design first. API first consists in designing the API before any other part of the application. This allows for a clean separation between the API and the application, making it easier to secure the API independently. Organizations used to have strong measures to test and secure their applications, but not enough for underlying APIs. Security first means security measures and considerations should be given the highest priority. It ensures that potential risks and threats are identified and appropriate controls are put in place to mitigate them. And design first consists in designing the API and producing its specification before implementing the API itself. This enables a clear communication between API provider and consumers and ensure requirements are met for both parties. These approaches encompass a comprehensive strategy for leveraging security by design and enable organizations to address security with a proactive approach to better protect their sensitive data and build a robust API architecture. On the right side of the screen, this diagram illustrates a pattern we used for some of our customers. When it comes to design and implement APIs, the very first step is about producing the API definition, which consists in API purpose, targeted audience, and processed data by the API. During this phase, organizations need to involve all stakeholders in order to make this definition the most accurate possible. You may already know about this expression in cybersecurity. We can secure what we don't know. The very first step is to clearly know your product first, then you will be able to secure it better. Based on a clear API definition, it's possible to conduct the API security assessment in order to define the appropriate security requirements of the API. By having both a clear API definition and appropriate security requirements, it's possible to start designing the API with security in mind, and moreover, continue on the next stages of the API lifecycle with the same mindset. In summary, security by design ensures APIs are designed and developed with security at the forefront, providing a solid foundation for secure data exchange and mitigating potential risks. Security by design mainly focus on the overall design and architecture of the application, while DevSecOps is more concerned about operational practices and activities that can be implemented within the DevOps pipeline. Let's see how in the next slide. DevSecOps integrates security into every step of the software development lifecycle, ensuring security is prioritized throughout the entire process and not just an afterthought. Organizations can take advantage of this approach by promoting shared responsibility, integrating and automating security. Here are some details regarding these methods. Promote a shared understanding of security requirements and enable continuous feedback loops. This will foster collaboration between developer, operational, and security teams. By enabling cooperation between these teams, security considerations are integrated into the development process. Developers can work closely with security experts to understand and enforce security practices. Security experts can better understand APIs and provide guidance to ensure security requirements are met. Organizations need to integrate security by ensuring secure coding practices are enforced with the goal of identifying and resolving potential vulnerabilities. Finally, they will need to automate repetitive security tasks by enabling continuous security testing to streamline the security process and reduce human error. The main advantage of this philosophy are increased efficiency thanks to better communication and collaboration, enables agility, faster time to market, and definitely better risk management. DevSecOps and security by design ultimately enhance the overall API security posture by enabling organizations to prioritize proactive security measures while also improving their ability to react effectively. Their implementation will require expertise and organizations to address complexity, stakeholder involvement, and technological progress. Complexity because integrating various technologies and promoting collaboration among diverse teams will be challenging, as we have seen earlier in this presentation. Regarding stakeholders' involvement, actually, team members who are comfortable with existing workflows may resist adopting new practices. And organizations definitely needs to keep up with changes in security practices and technology because attackers constantly evolve their techniques and new vulnerabilities may emerge. In the end, promoting security should be everyone's responsibility in order to reduce risk and lower costs in the long run. Once we cover these topics, what's next? Organizations may conduct security risk assessment in order to identify vulnerabilities and get insight, enabling them to proceed with informed decisions. They may also establish a cross-functional team by involving a representative from each team so they can better promote security practices with their peer and also share about difficulties they are facing. They can finally foster a culture of security by promoting security awareness and education. Before ending this talk, I would like to emphasize aligning security and development is not a one-time effort, but a continuous process that requires commitment from all stakeholders. Thank you for your attention. I would also like to thank API Days organizer, API-Sec University, and Dan Barahona for their support and the opportunity to be here as API as speaker at API Days Paris 2023. Thank you.